off turn 4. Green flag is in the air. With 8 races down in the NASCAR TMCS, it's getting down to crunch time in Season 2. Throughout 8 different races, we've had 7 different winners here in Season 2, with Aric Almirola proving himself to be the dominant factor so far. Despite his dominance, Season 1 champion Ryan Blaney sits second in points with only 3 markers separating the 2 drivers. With both wildcard spots being occupied, the battle to get in the playoffs is the battle for 10th in points. Only 3 points separate 9th through 12th from the standings, and as we approach the cutoff race in Richmond, the intensity will only ramp up. This is the Trackmasters Cup Series. Welcome to NASCAR on TMG for today's live broadcast of the Pepsi 400 here from Burns, Oregon. Today, 23 of the best Trackmasters Cup Series drivers will take on this short half-mile racetrack in the middle of Burns, Oregon to conclude the West Coast swing. Weather today, it's overcast with a high of 64 degrees Fahrenheit, a nice moderate day set for racing here in Burns. Let's go over your drivers to watch for. Jimmy Johnson starts on pole. He's got a bad, fast, Lowe's Chevrolet. Let's see what he can get done today on the final race of the West Coast swing. Alex Bowman won last week at Irwindale after a last lap pass on Brad Keselowski. Let's see what he can get done at the patriotic 88 Nationwide Chevrolet. Also keep an eye peeled for Brad Keselowski. The driver of the number 2 Worth Ford Fusion came oh so close to winning last weekend in Irwindale, but he got bumped out of the way on the last lap by Alex Bowman. Let's see if the driver of the 2 can seal the deal today. Let's move into the command to fire engines here in Burns Motor Speedway in the final race of the West Coast swing. Drivers, start your engines! Engines roar to life here in Burns, Oregon. Don't go anywhere. NASCAR on TMG will be right back after this for the starting lineup. Welcome back to NASCAR on TMG and the Pepsi 400 here from Burns Motor Speedway. Let's move in for the starting lineup. Starting on pole today, it's Jimmy Johnson to the inside of 2-time 2019 winner Denny Hamlin, and in row 2, Joey Logano starts to the inside of Kyle Busch. Coming up in row 3, Irwindale winner Alex Bowman starts to the inside of rival Brad Keselowski, and in row 4, Kyle Larson starts to the inside of Aric Almirola. Coming up in row 5, Paul Menard starts to the inside of the young driver William Byron, and coming up in row 6, Kurt Busch starts to the inside of Ryan Blaney. We're coming up on row 7 where Kurt Busch's former teammate Kevin Harvick lines up to the inside of Chase Elliott, and in row 8 it's the front row for the Daytona 500, Ryan Preece to the inside of Daniel Hemrick. Row 9 consists of Eric Jones to the inside of Clint Bowyer, and coming up in row 10 it's the Daytona 500 winner, Ryan Newman to the inside of Bubba Wallace. Row 11 consists of Austin Dillon to the inside of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And rounding out the field today, starting 23rd, it'll be Martin Truex Jr. Well, the starting lineup is done. The command to fire engines has been given and we are ready to go racing at Burns. Green flag is out for 12 laps of action. We are underway in race 9. Johnson checks out on the restart. Joey Logano takes second from Denny Hamlin. Here they come to lap 2 and it's Jimmy Johnson leading the charge. Bowman into third. Here they come down the back. Well, Hamlin gets sent wide by Paul Menard. Denny Hamlin in the wall. Johnson continues to lead. Lap 3 underway. Larson to the inside of Logano is going to take that spot away. Logano crosses down to the bottom. He's going to have the inside lane. Larson fights back on the outside. Logano gets loose. Brad Keselowski to third. Joey Logano falling back to fourth. Now it's Larson, Johnson, and Brad Keselowski, the top 3 as they come to the next lap. Johnson leads the way. Kyle Larson in tow, looking to make a move on the 48. He's going to get to the inside. Johnson shuts the door. Kyle Larson winds it up and fires back down the back straightaway. To the race lead goes Larson. Johnson fights back on the bottom. Jimmy Johnson, tenacious, not looking to give up this race lead. He's finally going to give it up there as Kyle Larson takes the lead. Keselowski to second over Jimmy Johnson. Paul Menard and Johnson battle for fourth, but Kurt Busch gets to the inside of Menard. Battle for the lead. Keselowski to the inside of Larson. He's going to take that spot away. Larson fights back to the bottom and gets back to the lead. Trouble! Jimmy Johnson goes around. The pole sitter goes around in the back straightaway, and we've got a caution. Late race incident here at Burns Motor Speedway, and it's the pole sitter Jimmy Johnson going around off of Paul Menard. Let's take a look at the instant replay here as the caution comes out on lap 9 of 12. You can see there Paul Menard got to the bumper of Jimmy Johnson, sent that 48 car sliding up the banking. You'll take a look at that here. Johnson slides up in front of Paul Menard. Menard drives right into the quarter panel of that 48 and sends him spinning down the front straightaway. maybe a bit of retribution there from the Clash at Daytona. Johnson was second place, Paul Menard was leading, and Johnson got to the inside and turned the 21. Anyways, don't go anywhere. NASCAR on TMG will be right back after this for the restart. Welcome back to NASCAR on TMG here. Let's take a look at a race recap so far. Johnson led from lap 1 to 7, and on lap 8, Brad Keselowski was able to take the lead from Kyle Larson. Then on lap 9, that was most recently, the caution came out. And that'll set up an overtime restart with 2 laps to go. Kyle Larson's going to head the way, looking for his first win of the season. Green flag is out, back racing for 2 laps. Chip Ganassi goes 1-2, coming down the back straightaway. Kurt Busch on the inside of Keselowski. Keselowski back to the outside. They make contact, and around goes the 1. Kurt Busch spins, coming to the white flag. Almirola on the inside of Logano gets turned by Ryan Preece, and up front, Kyle Larson wins at Burns Motor Speedway. First win of the season for the 42 car, and a big margin of victory over second place Brad Keselowski. Kyle Larson checked out while everyone was tripping over each other behind trying to get to the 42. Here's the move of the race coming here on lap 9. Kyle Larson on the inside of Brad Keselowski was able to take the lead away then. He was able to check out on the restart and didn't look back. Kyle Larson is your winner at Burns. A very exciting and eventful first ever race at Burns Motor Speedway, but it's Kyle Larson coming out on top of the Pepsi 400. Let's take a look at the rest of the top 10. So obviously Kyle Larson was able to break away from the field and win the Pepsi 400 today. Brad Keselowski came home second, Joey Logano third, Paul Menard fourth, Aric Almirola fifth, Ryan Preece sixth, Kyle Busch seventh, Alex Bowman eighth, Ryan Newman ninth, and Clint Bowyer rounds out the top 10. Ryan Preece and Bubba Wallace did a great job today getting better finishes than they have been for the rest of the season. Ryan Blaney and Erik Jones really not up to par for where they were for the rest of the season, maybe just this new short track taking a toll on the series' young drivers. In terms of your top 12 in points, it is a deadlock of race winners there in the top 5. Almirola, Blaney, Larson, Bowman, and Menard make up your top 5. William Byron in 6th, Clint Bowyer in 7th. Joey Logano and Ryan Newman, the last 2 winners in the top 10 in points. Kyle Busch up there in 9th, and your 2 wildcards are Kevin Harvick and Daniel Hemrick. So for the Pepsi 400, that'll be it here from Burns Motor Speedway. A very exciting and close race to be sure. Next week, it'll be race 10 from Indianapolis for the MROA 400. But until then, this is the Motorsports Guy signing out. Have a good weekend.